Welcome to One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me on this episode, it is singer Jim Crean from the Appice Brothers Drum Wars. He's got a new solo album out called Insatiable that features, of course, Vinny Appice and Carmine. He's also got Phil Lewis of LA Guns, Mike Tramp, formerly of White Lion, the late, great Jimmy Bain, and many, many more. Before checking that out, please check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON, and on Facebook, One on One, Mitch Lafon. And head over to PayPal, paypal.me/Mitch Lafon if you care to support the podcast. And with that, here is Jim Crean. We are speaking with Jim Crean out in Buffalo. The new album is Insatiable on Carmine Appice's Label Rocker Records. That's right. Good day, Jim.
How are you, Mitch?
Good. Great pleasure to talk to you. Now, I know you from other contexts as well. You help out with Mike Tramp when he's on tour, and you helped me when I put together this Kiss tribute album. You brought in Magic Touch, but we'll talk about all of that. But let's talk about this album and how you got half of these people on there. I mean, from Carmine to Vinny to Mike Tramp, Phil Lewis, Frank Domino, Jimmy Bain, the late great Jimmy Bain, I should say, Tony Franklin, just the people that have been with Rob Halford Band, Phil Narrow. The list is on and on and on, and of course Canadian content. Stan Mitchek, I guess is how you say it, who's done Honeymoon Suite, Killer Dwarves, and currently with Harem Scarum. So how does Jim in Buffalo get all these great names on his album?
Well, I've been doing this for about 35 years, so I made these guys. I made friends throughout the years in different touring aspects, and I just when I put this album together, I got the deal through Carmine's label. I also play in a band with Carmine Vinny Appice, or Appice, depending on who you talk to.
Right, exactly. The Drum Wars. The
Drum Wars, right, correct. And we've been touring for about 3.5 years with that. So throughout those years, that time, I made a lot of contacts with these guys and just made friends. And when it came time to do the record, they all just kind of offered their services, which has been great.
So talk to me, for fans that don't know what kind of music. Talk to me about the writing process and how long you've had these songs and how you chose which song goes to Phil Lewis and which song goes to Mike Tramp. Just suss out the whole sort of the creative process.
Sure. I mean, I've been writing since my last album in 2011. I put out an album that Phil Narrow and Steve Major is another big Canadian name as a producer. Since that was in 2011. Well, we started writing songs right after that. So I started writing songs actually after that. And just when the process came to do the record, I just kind of figured out who would actually do the best job on each song, and that's kind of how I placed it. Mike Tramp was going to do background vocals on some song. We didn't really know which one we were going to put him on. And then I came up with the idea to do the old Freak of Nature song, which he was in a band called Freak of Nature after White Lion.
Yeah, wasn't that a great band, by the way? That was just such a great hard rock metal band. I'd love to see him do that again, even if it's just 10 shows or something.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't know about that band because it was a very underrated band. They really did heavy touring in Europe, and they really didn't play in the States too much. So, anyways, he had the album out, and this song called "Can't Find My Way," which I always thought was a great song that kind of got shelved, and no one really knew it. So when me and Mike were talking about what song he was going to sing on, I said, "Well, I got an idea. Why don't we do "Can't Find My Way"? We just re-record it, kind of put a newer flavor to it." And he loved the idea. I mean, he absolutely loved the idea. So, and let me speak on Mike's behalf, and you will attest to this as well because you know Mike very well as well. He's probably one of the nicest guys in the business. I mean, just a genuine, true, nice person. So,
and I'll say, sorry to cut you off, but I'll add also just his sense of loyalty. I mean, I've interviewed him many, many times, and I know him, and I don't know. I don't want to say he feels an obligation, but when there's time to announce something, he'll come to me and say, "Hey, let's do an interview." He could talk to any reporter, and there's just this loyalty of the guys that have supported him. I'm going to support you back, and I truly appreciate that from Mike.
Well, yeah, that's how he is. And he doesn't forget people, that's for sure. He's one of those guys that if you do right by him, you got a friend for life, and that's how me and Mike been for years. And ironically enough, when I did the record, time came to record the song "Can't Find My Way." I had booked some studio time, and he had a gig. We were on tour. I tour with him, like you said earlier. Every year he comes to the States, I do a bunch of tours with him, and in Canada. And that's when I actually saw you a couple of years ago. We were in Canada, if you recall. But
in
anyways,
Ottawa, in the old Bourbon Street bar that's no longer there. But we'll have to get you back up here to the Brass Monkey, which is where all the action's happening now. Yeah, Dion and Scotty, who ran that place, bought over the Brass Monkey, and it's a great venue, and we got to get you and Mike absolutely up there for a show.
Oh, great. Yeah, definitely. After we do the interview, let's get some contact info on that.
Yep.
But so what happened was Mike was on this last tour. Mike had a gig that I wasn't involved in. He was playing out of the area, and he canceled the gig to actually go to the studio with me to record. I mean, that's, like you said, back to the loyalty thing. That's how loyal this guy is. He said, you know what, I'd rather do the recording with you and be there with you. And so that's a class act right there. You know what I mean? So that's how that one came together. As far as Phil Lewis goes, Phil and I have been friends. I've been touring with LA Guns for many years. And every time they come up to the East Coast, we always, as a support act for that. So when I told Phil that we were doing the record, he was like, well, let me know what you need me to do. So then we thought about that one, and I said, you know what, another cool song would be Over the Edge. So we did the old LA Gun song, and it came out amazing. So
that's a great song, too. Great song.
It's a great song.
And a great version.
I'm sorry?
And a great version that you guys did.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, we tried staying true to the original, but with my flavor, my style. And then Phil, he sang it kind of a little different too, because he did all the harmonies on it. So it was just came out really good. I had Glenn Nash, play on it from Sass Jordan. He's a good friend of mine as well, Canadian guy. So he did a bang up job on the drums, and it came out really good. So then, as far as getting Frank Domino involved, he's been one of my influences as a kid, the old Angel. And we did a show with Drum Wars up in Vegas, which was a really cool show. Andrew Dice Clay was there. Carrot Top announced us. It was a really good show. Frank was there. And so I called Frank up, and he did a couple songs with us. And after the show, we were hanging out backstage, and I said to Frank, I go, hey, I'm doing a new record. If you're interested in singing on it, he'd be like, absolutely. Well, ironically enough, that afternoon, me and Vinny were talking to Jimmy Bain, and he agreed to play on it too. So we decided to do the Dio song, Caught in the Middle. So Frank did that one with me, and him did that duet on it. It came out really cool as well.
Yeah. So when you go through all this stuff and you're doing some of these covers and stuff, do you have a hard time sort of choosing which ones to go with, or are these sort of your favorite songs from these bands?
That's a great question, and I haven't been asked that one. That it kind of both, the Dio thing. Vinny said to me, he goes, you sing a lot like Ronnie when we do the Drum Wars shows, and he said, you should do a Dio song on there. Prior to us going to Vegas and do that tour, we did rehearsals in Los Angeles, and Jimmy Bain was there watching us rehearse or whatever. And, so I became friends with him there and then. And he said, well, me and Jimmy have played Dio's rhythm section. How cool would that be? So I said, we got to do a Dio song. And I always thought Caught in the Middle was a very underrated song. A lot of people don't even know the song, believe it or not. And it's off the Holy Diver album. So that's how that one came about. And, some of the covers that we did on the record, it's just kind of both. I like the songs a lot, but they just kind of all happened. You know what I mean? It wasn't kind of like, oh, got to have that one on there. It just kind of all fell into place like that. I initially didn't want to do a cover, have that many covers on the record because I have enough originals written. But it just seemed to fall in place that way.
And they turned out great. So let's talk Drum Wars for a second. You put out the Drum Wars live album back in 2014, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
About 2 years ago.
Yep.
What's the recently Vinny and Carmine announced that they were going to be doing an album together. Is that something that you're going to be involved with?
Yes. What we're doing is it's a pledge campaign. It's kind of a great idea.
Pledge campaigns are great. Yeah.
Yeah, our new agent came up with the concept and decided that, let's have the fans be part of it, because that's what this is. The Drum War shows, that's what it's all about. It's very fan interacting. People, the misconception it's a drum clinic. It's not. It's an actual concert. We do history of the brothers, complete history. We do anywhere from Dio, Rod Stewart, Cactus, Vanilla Fudge, Blue Murder. We do it all. So the fans interact, and I get the fans singing along with the songs, and it's kind of a cool thing. So then we decided we're going to do a studio album. We're going to put a lot of the old songs on there, kind of the way we do them. But the fans can, they can pledge to it and get their name in the liner notes and things like that. I thought it was kind of a cool idea. So yeah, the live album that we did was really cool. We did that one at the Iridium in New York City. We did 2 shows, and they brought a mobile unit out and just recorded the band live, and it's purely a live album. I mean, it's just a complete live album.
Yeah,
so it came out really cool. I'm really proud of that album.
Let me just clarify on the pledge music thing. So you're going to be redoing some of the standards or the classics or whatever, but will there be any original songs from Carmine and Vinny, or some of yours that we've never heard before? Yes.
Okay. There's some drum pieces that they wrote together that are really cool, and then there's a couple of songs that the 3 of us. We all wrote them and arranged them, and then of course we're going to do a couple surprise. I guess I hate to use the word covers because they were part of those bands, but songs like that's from their history.
Well, we'll call them remakes or something instead of covers. But okay, so because when I first heard of the album and you hear the 2 drummers, you're thinking, oh my God, it's going to be this drum solo album, but it's actually going to be sort of a nod to the past kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. That's fantastic.
And when you see these guys play together in time like that and sync it, which is a really tough thing to do, and it's just such a powerful show. That's why we did the live album. We didn't do it with any intention of doing a live album. They just happened to have a mobile unit there. I think they were recording Richie Sambora or something like that a couple of nights before we played there. So they had the whole mobile unit set up, and they asked us, well, would you guys be interested in doing this? And so we got a record deal right off the bat with Cleopatra Records, and that's kind of how that whole thing happened. But when you listen to it, you hear the drums so powerful, and that's kind of, we did the live album. Wow, wouldn't it be cool to do a studio album with this much power? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's how the whole thing came about.
So you got to deal with Brian Pereira over at Cleopatra. Now, let's quickly talk.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, Brian's great, yeah.
Yeah, Brian's great. I did work years ago with Brian on a Phil Lewis album and L.A. Guns and stuff. Let's talk about the tribute album that I put together, A World with Heroes. And, I'm able to email Vinny and all that. And I had when I was trying to put it together. And he had said sort of, well, not sort of. He sort of went, no, I'm not doing a Kiss tribute. Are you kidding me? And you came along and you convinced him. So talk to me about how you convinced him, and then the choice of the song Magic Touch, which is on Insatiable as well, is very interesting because you look at Vinny and Black Sabbath and Dio and all that, and Kiss have songs that are heavy, right? They could have done The Oath or something like that. How did you get him to do sort of the disco song, and how did you convince him? He was like, I don't like, well, not that I don't like Kiss, but he goes, I'm not going to cover Kiss. I was in Sabbath. I'm not covering Kiss, right? Talk to me about that, and then, of course, using it on Insatiable, too.
That is a great question, by the way. Seriously, nod to you on that question. That's a cool question, because there's a backstory behind that. So, when you first put this thing together, which, by the way, was an awesome project that you put together.
Thank you.
I did about 10 interviews in the last week, and I bring your name up, and I bring, of course, the project up as well, because I'm proud of it. It's a great double CD, and so I talk about it all the time in my interviews.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I'll cut you off again, but what was great about that was, first of all, we raised over $35,000 for the hospice home in Vaudreuil or in Dorion, Canada, which was great. But it also was, I think I have a feeling that people would have donated the money for cancer care and for KISS regardless of the quality, and I think that it would have been a success but the songs on there that you put together and that all the artists, they really put their heart and soul into it, and they made a product that not only benefited people, but they can be proud of as musicians. Like, that's a really good, and so kudos to everybody, absolutely everybody that was involved on that. And of course, a big thank you to everybody, because, it was my wife's father that passed away from cancer, and we were supporting the hospice that he was in. And so, but anyway, go on.
No, yeah, and to elaborate on that, at that time when we were recording that, I was actually on the phone with Phil Lewis, and me and him were talking about, because I know Phil's on it, and Phil was real proud to be part of it, and I'm friends with Terry too from Great White, and he was proud to be on it. So it only made sense. Everybody on the record, all big name guys, by the way. You were able to round up a bunch of national big name guys, who are, most of them on the record are all my friends. So it was kind of a cool thing that I was a part of it with them, and we all kind of talked about it, and all decided what a great deal this is, So it really was cool. Yeah. So, when you first put it together, you got Rex, and you got the guys from, at the time, Vinny was in that band, I can never remember that.
Kill Devil Hill.
Kill Devil Hill. I can never remember that, even when we talk about it. Anyway, so Vinny was in Kill Devil Hill, and you pretty much got almost all the guys from Kill Devil Hill, except Vinny on it. And then when I think Phil Naro was the one that reached out to me and said, hey, I'm going to be on this. And Phil did a great job on it, by the way. But Phil said to me, he goes, I'm going to be on this, and you would be great on this, being a KISS fan, and just the way you sing, you do a good job. So he reached out to you, I believe, and then you reached out to me, however it happened.
Yeah. I was gonna do a 12-song tribute, in and out. Thank you very much, and let's move on. And it grew to 40 songs, and Phil had a big part of that. He'll say, he said, hey man, I'll get Jim and we'll do Magic Touch and this and that, and I was sort of like, well, I have my 12 songs, and then he said Vinny, and then of course there was this guy and that guy and the guys from Tesla, and I was just like, all right, we got to go, go big or go home, right? So we grew to 40 songs, and Phil was very instrumental in that.
And I'm glad, because it came out, the package, everything from the package into just all the qualities. There's not one bad sounding. Everything's top quality, professionally recorded, and that's kind of, I've been on tons of these kind of, I guess compilation records, right, or however you want to, benefit records, whatever you want to call them. And then, I would take pride in my recordings. I always, put everything I got into it. And so many times I'm on these recordings, and my song's real professionally recorded. It sounds great. Then you get a couple other ones, and you go, oh, how did this guy even release this? You know what I mean? And there's nothing like that on yours. Every song is professionally recorded, top notch, and it's all got big name artists on it. So for the fans out there, if you don't have this, I highly suggest to find either the download or if there's a physical copy.
Well, I have 4 physical copies left, but it is on iTunes. Strangely, though, to find it, if you type in A World with Heroes, you can't find it. But if you type in KISS Tribute, it pops right up. So
that's probably even easier, though. People can say KISS Tribute, there it is.
Yeah,
well, I recommend anybody to get that, because it's great. But back to the Vinny question. So, he did decline with you to do a song on it. And behind closed doors, he told me, he goes, I hate KISS. I never was a KISS fan. I, wasn't a big KISS fan, so that's his choice. He said, I never was a big KISS fan. Plus, I wasn't, like you said, I was in Black Sabbath. It's kind of weird for me to tribute a band that was, touring it together at the same time, same level, So I understood that. He told me that prior to me being asked to contribute to it, the moment Phil brought it to my attention, I called Vinny and I said, hey, guess what you're doing? He goes, what? I go, you're doing a KISS tribute band, KISS tribute album After All with me. He's like, okay, why? And I said, well, we're doing Magic Touch. I'm going to send you the files. We're going to get this thing done. And Vinny was like, I'm that close of friends with Vinny where he couldn't say no to me. So he was like, absolutely, all right, let's get it done. And he did an amazing job on it. I mean, he just drove that song and just, I mean, made Peter Criss sound like a drum god. You know?
No, and it's great because I think if you had picked any other song, had you gone like with 100,000 Years or one of the heavier songs, it would have been like, okay, Vinny's doing the heavy song. But this made it special because having him do Magic Touch, which is from, you know, Dynasty and lighter, it just adds that. Now you've like added meat to that bone. You know, it was just such a brilliant move. Really, just a brilliant move.
Yeah, because I thought about it heavily, and I always thought Magic Touch was one of those songs that just kind of was out of its element on Dynasty. You know, I Was Made for Loving You, and all those kind of poppy, like you said, disco-y songs. And Magic Touch was kind of a commercial rock song, but I always thought it kind of stood out, and it had a great hook. And I thought, you know, and I always thought Paul sings great, you know, so I always thought, well, but that middle part with the falsetto, I thought that's got to be sung like you got, you know, like you're really with it. And that's how we did it. I kind of took that falsetto out and we sang it more straightforward. And I think we made a good choice on doing that. And of course with Vinny, it's just pounding drums. I mean, it's so much power to that song. So what happened was when it came time to do my record, you know, when we release these in Europe and Japan, they always like to have bonus tracks. So I was going to do a couple of my originals for bonus tracks. And I said, you know what? We got that Kiss song that was on World with Heroes. I said, and Vinny did such a great job, and all the fans just absolutely love it. I remember you sent me a chart of, I think we did really well in like somewhere, Scotland or something like that, that we were top sales. I do remember. I don't remember where it was. You sent me a chart that we were like number one of sales for that download or whatever.
Yeah. There was. I'm trying to think. I was getting iTunes reports, and it had gone to like number one in the iTunes, and I was like, "Oh, geez, wow, okay."
Yeah. So, and I remember you sending me that. I thought, how cool is that? You know, out of all these songs, Magic Touch was picked number one. How cool is that in iTunes with the downloads, whatever.
And I really think that has a lot to do with Vinny. I think a lot of the Sabbath fans and Kiss fans went, "Wait, what? I got to check that out." You know.
For sure, because you got a guy who's at that same level, who's willing to do that. It was kind of really cool. So I thought, well, fans love it. And I got so much feedback from that. Fans going, how do I get this whole thing? And so I thought, you know, that's perfect. We'll put that one on there. And I'm glad I did, because I'm still getting it to this day with Insatiable. People are like, really cool choice doing the Kiss song. And I always give you props. I say, well, you can thank Mitch for that one, because that would have never ever been recorded by us if it wasn't for you. I mean, absolutely. I would have never recorded that song for my solo album. It would have never happened. And so you get props for that. And it's become a fan favorite. People absolutely love that song.
Great. So hopefully if we go see Drum Wars, you'll be doing it. No, but the other thing which I think is great for you having put it on Insatiable is that when I approached all the artists, I said to them, listen, I'm going to make 1,000 copies of the CD. That is it. That is all. When it is done, don't worry about it. You're not signing your life away where I'm going to make 30,000 copies and keep selling this for 20 years, because I didn't think that would be respectful. And so now folks that didn't get it on A World with Heroes, and I literally have 4 copies left behind me that I could sell, people can still get that song in the physical form. It is up on iTunes, and you can get it, digitally, but the physical form, now people can get it on Insatiable, which is cool. Cool for the fans.
It is, and it's really when I do these records, I just do it for the fans. Nowadays in this business, in the world of music business, when you release records, you're fooling yourself if you think you're going to, sell millions of copies. It's for the fans. It really is. I mean, me and Carmine have talked about this. Because Carmine still releases a lot of records. That was, Fog and Cactus, and even my stuff, on his label. And it's always, we don't go into it with the intentions of we're going to sell, 10 million copies. You go into it with the intention of, hopefully the fans enjoy it, really. And like I said, what you did with World of Heroes, I can't thank you enough for including me in it. And if you ever do something like that again, I really want to be a part of it. But it was a cool thing, and so I'm glad.
It really was. Let's just get back to Drum Heroes, because we should wrap this up in a couple of minutes. But in terms of touring for the rest of 2016, 2017, are you going out just to support Insatiable, or are you getting out there with Mike and helping Mike Tramp getting around the States and Canada? Are you doing Vinny and Carmine Drum Wars? What are we doing in terms of those sort of three separate entities, I guess we'll call them?
Sure. I just got off the road with Mike Tramp. Me and him did 8 dates here in the States. He's currently touring the U.S. right now. There's no plans for Canada this year, unfortunately. But I think next year we're talking Canada again, and more of a focus on Canada as opposed to just we only did like 2 or 3 dates I think last year. This time it's going to be more of a focus on Canada because there's a big market for that in Canada. So I just got off the tour with Mike about 2 weeks ago, and we're going back. I'm going back out with the Appice Brothers. We're going to be going to South America, and we're going to Australia with that.
That's cool.
Yeah, some big festivals too. Some really big things to big festivals, and they have so many big festivals out there. They get like 100,000 people at these things. It's really cool. So we got a couple of those booked already through our new management. And as far as the Insatiable, I'm in a cover band called Hair Nation. It's a hair metal band. We tour up and down the East Coast, and I've just been kind of selling and promoting my album that way as well, because we do a bunch of the songs on that. So that's kind of what keeps me busy.
Wow, that's really cool. So yeah, we'll definitely have to get you up here, and we'll help you with that. Jim, a great pleasure. And for those who haven't checked out Insatiable or haven't heard of it, you definitely should. Head over to jimcrean.net, JIMCREAN.net. You can pick it up there and some of the other stuff. And yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Mitch, thank you. You do a great job, and it's an honor to be a friend of yours. So thanks again, buddy.
Absolutely. Anytime. And there you have it, folks. My interview with singer Jim Crean. The new album is Insatiable. Please do yourself a favor and check that out. While checking stuff out, head over to Twitter and check me out at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON, one-on-one Mitch Lafon on Facebook, and paypal.me/Mitch Lafon should you care to support the podcast. And with that, I bid you a fond farewell. Bonsoir, adios, bye for now. Oh my.